a lot of studio musicians did that too. A lot of people they'd be doing record dates all day or all night, whatever, and in between they'd come over to my place and just hang out and play. You'd be surprised how many people I've played with in my little shop. Unfortunately, at those times, that was before Walkmans. They certainly didn't have mini discs in those days. Boy, mini discs would have been helpful. For me to record any of that would have been intrusive because I would have had to pull out of a reel-to-reel and set up a microphone, and by that time, you're losing it. It would have been nice to had the because Toots Tillman used to come in, and Toots would come in and bring his harmonicas in, and I'd sit there and play rhythm guitar, and Toots would just play some blues and things. We would do that. I remember one time with Toots. This is funny because Toots is a real character. He's a great, great guitar player. For those of you who don't know who Toots Tillman was, look him up. Buy some Toots Tillman records. He played a harmonica like Charlie Parker played alto sax. He was one of the best bebop musicians, I think, of all time. And he was a very good guitar player, too. And he did a lot of commercial work. You might remember years ago there was a commercial that ran on TV for a long time for Old Spice aftershave lotion with a whistler. That was Toots Tillman doing the whistling on that. And Toots used to come in like a lot of other people. I remember one day we were in there playing some blues or something, and we were just the two of us. I was playing rhythm guitar, and he was playing a harmonica. And at one point, he took the harmonica out of his mouth, and he went like this. He says, I was sitting over there, and he was sitting like this. And he says, look at that, same feet. I says, what? He says, same feet. And what he meant was we were both in the same pocket, because he was looking at my foot and his foot, and we were both in the same groove, And I thought that was kind of a nice way to say it. Same feet, he said. I said, well, okay. And then there's, like I said, a lot of people hung out there. I remember one time Ron Carter came in, and he looked kind of tired. He'd been up all night, I guess, doing sessions or whatever. And he said he had a recording date at such and such a time. And he says, I wouldn't mind if I just kind of, lie down on your couch for a while. No, you've done that before, Ron. Yeah. He's just, if you wouldn't mind, Carl, maybe you could wake me up, 4 o'clock or whatever time it would, make sure I don't miss his record date. I said, no, not a problem, no. So I went in my little room and I'm working, and Ron is sleeping on my couch, and some kid came in to get his bass fixed. He was over at a local music store here on 48th Street called Manny's. Big music store, Manny's Music. And he had bought a bass there or something, or he had a bass that he wanted to get fixed, and Henry over there at Manny's sent him over to my place. And he came in, and he walked past Ron, where Ron was sleeping, and he came into my room and said, are you Carl Thompson? I said, yes. He said, is that Ron Carter sleeping on your couch? I said, yeah, that's Ron. He says, oh, wow. He said, I guess I came to the right place. He said, you got Ron Carter sleeping on your couch, man. You must be the man. So I don't know about that, but that's him, And Ron's I always like Ron. He's a nice man. I related that story to him not too long ago. I saw him down at the Blue Note. I was hanging out with him a little bit, and we talked about those days. Those were really happening days. A lot of music happening. I was playing a lot. Everybody was swinging. It was just a really nice time. And getting back to Anthony and Stanley too. Stanley Clark was around a lot at that time. I knew Stanley when he was playing club dates, Again, before he was Stanley Clark, To me, he was always Stanley Clark, and he still is too, by the way. He still is that way. I've never known Stanley to be any different. He just got better and better. But his dignity and his integrity and his gentleness and his kindness. He's a real superhuman being. I love Stanley. I think he's one of the best examples of a human being and a great musician that there can be. I really mean that. Anyway, Anthony, when I started making basses, he said, you know, Carl, I had this idea about a 6-string bass, and he said, I'm playing in the studios, and these synthesizers are killing me. They're just wiping out the low end. I can't keep up with them, you know. He says, maybe if we made a bass with a low B and maybe put a high C on top of it, like the old Fender. Fender did make a 5-string bass years ago with a high C. And I remember reading in one of those bass books, they talked about that story, about how Anthony came to me and asked me to do that. And according to Anthony, I said it was a dumb idea. Dumb is not a word I use a lot. I might have said something like, "What, you crazy, Anthony? Low B?" I've so far I've only made maybe 5 or 6 basses. I wasn't even sure what I was doing. Not that I'm sure now, but then I really wasn't sure. And to come up with something like that, where do I even start? You know. But me and Greg Bennett was there at the time, and Joel Frutkin was there. Steve Berger was there helping out. A few people hanging in the shop just trying to get things done. And we made the 6-string bass for Anthony. There's a lot of things about that bass that a lot of people don't know the real facts about, you know. Anthony, in so many reports I read, said that the spacing was too close. Well, there's a lot of reasons for that being that way. You have to remember, when I made that instrument, or when we made that instrument, I say Greg and I and the rest of us, when we made that instrument, well, it had never been done before, for one thing. I wanted to make it a 36-inch scale right from the get-go. I thought maybe that would be, at least get the fundamentals a little more accurate, you know. And if we're going to get a heavier string for the B string, a 34 might flop around too much. So if we made it 36, it would increase the tension. These were all things I was thinking about. I wasn't calling them facts. I was just thinking about it in those terms. Anthony decided that he was already playing the Fender, and it was a 34, and he thought it would be more to his liking to do that. So we did that. There was a lot of problems that came up. For instance, where am I going to get a pickup, you know, to cover that magnetic field that would be wider? There's no 6-string basses, so there's no 6-string bass pickups, you know, of any kind. And I mean of any kind. I mean that seriously, too, because EMG didn't exist at that time, and now they're making all kinds of nice stuff. I use a lot of it. It's a very good pickup, but they weren't even around that I knew of. They might have been, but I certainly didn't know about it. I don't think anybody else knew about it, you know. Bill Bartolini had just started up, and Bill was at least interested. Well, I remember talking to him about doing it, and